In this world, looks are everything. All doors are open to those naturally beautiful, while the ugly suffer discrimination. The beauty president passed a new law according to which people who are extremely ugly are not allowed to go out on the street. And Zhao Gu is an average-looking guy. On his way to a job interview, he saw the police arresting a man just because he was ugly. At work, he gets a trial period of 90 days, while his beautiful colleague immediately gets a higher position and all the benefits. He starts rooting for her and is humiliated because of his appearance. She even forces him to work in her house where he's like her maid. After an exhausting day, and Zhao Gu arrives home where his sister is waiting. Because of her looks, she is not allowed to leave the house, so she asks him when she will be able to go out. He promises that he will do anything to allow her to walk on the street proudly. For those who are ugly, the world seems to stand still, because beautiful people always have an advantage over them. And Zhao Gu goes to work when the beautiful president addresses the citizens. She shows them people who tried to change their appearance, and since it is illegal in their country, they all got the death penalty. After being bullied again at work, An Zhao Gu returns home but cannot find his sister. He goes to the place where she usually goes, but she's not there. As he's about to leave, a passage opens on the floor and takes him to a secret location where he meets a mad scientist and becomes a volunteer for his experiments. After starting his experiment with Zhao Gu, the scientist is attacked by the police, who he manages to fend off. After the explosion caused by the scientist, a woman of great beauty appears in his place. Seeing this kind of beauty only in the president, police officers are stunned. Confused that the police are reacting to her like this, the girl looks in the mirror, and it turns out that it is actually Zhao Gu who became a beauty after the experiment. As soon as he goes out on the street, he gets everything he wants with a new look. He gets a new job in the highest position, and now the manager who mistreated him works for him. Zhao Gu, known as Lord Gu, sets herself a new goal to change her sister's appearance. Meanwhile, 4 knights working for Lord Beauty are preparing to fight Lord Gu. Lord Gu views the world from the perspective of a beautiful person. Hearing about a prison where ugly people are kept, some of whom will be killed due to the lack of cells, she decides to look for information about that institution. Together with the manager Kuai Cha, she goes to look for information. The moment she learns about aesthetic seismography, she is attacked by one of the 4 knights. On the roof of the building, she is confronted by Bright, whose power comes from light. When Kuai Cha shuts off her searchlights, Lord Gu easily wins. After the victory, Lord Gu decides to go to the prison and free the prisoners, and the 4 knights send their only male member to defeat her. Prisoners are treated like trash and humiliated because of their appearance. They are not sure that anyone is going to save them, and even if they are to be saved, they don't know if they would be able to go out into the street. Lord Gu is slowly approaching the prison with her robots, who are designed to attack those uglier than her. She defeats the policemen one by one and enters the building from where she tries to free the prisoners. She is prevented from doing so by one of the 4 knights, Mei Xiaohua, who claims that men are the most beautiful beings. He, knowing that Gu is prettier than him, uses his roses to make himself look better. When even that is not enough, he attacks Gu, who has to cover her face because of it. By covering her face, she makes herself look uglier, and the robots prepare to attack her. However, using the sand to attack him, she forces the knight to close his eyes, causing the robots to attack him. To save himself, he falls to his knees and swears his loyalty to Lord Gu. Since only those who obey the beautiful survive in that world, Zhao Hua manages to save himself. After the victory, Gu is ready to free the prisoners, but manager Kuai Cha begs her to not do that. Kuai Cha still believes in the superiority of beautiful people and opposes Lord Gu, who wants to free them. While Gu explains that looks have nothing to do with goodness and that ugly people were just less lucky, the Kuai Cha is convinced that this system is only right. Because she does not want to submit to someone who is more beautiful than her, the robots prepare to attack her. Lord Gu, wanting to save her, gives her another chance, but she refuses and is killed. Gu frees the prisoners and tells them that they are free to do whatever they want and no longer have to obey anyone. However, knowing that life will not be better for them when they return to society, they start a conflict between themselves, and again, it all comes down to who is less ugly. Realizing that nothing will change this, Gu wonders what to do next. Xiao Ha gives her his key, which all knights have, and which can be used to open the room of the Lord Beauty, where she will find the answers. Gu decides to collect the other keys and change the whole world. The world is still the same, and beautiful people still have privilege over ugly ones. During this time, Lord Gu is simultaneously leading her company and trying to locate the last knights. Mei Xiaohua helps her with this. After she finishes showering, she is attacked with eyeliner by the third knight, who also brought robots. Gu is confident in herself because she looks better than the knight. However, her opponent then uses her color power, and thanks to that, she enhances her appearance. The robots attack Gu, but she successfully evades them. While the knight thinks that Gu is trying to get the robots to attack the wrong person, Gu is actually setting up the robots to see the knight from a dead spot. After Gu set her up with robots and hid, the robots killed the knight, and Gu got a third part of the key. The last knight prepares to deal with Gu, who finds her location with the help of Xiao Hua. They arrive at the meeting place and immediately notice that something is wrong. The receptionist leads them to the elevator and tells Gu that the fourth knight, Belle, is on the top floor. She goes to face her, while Xiao Hua has to stay down. She reaches the top floor where she meets Belle, whose face cannot be seen. Gu immediately prepares to fight and uses her power. The robots target Belle, who shows her face and turns out to be Gu's sister, so Gu protects her. However, it's only a reflection that allows Belle to change her appearance. She attacks Gu and destroys her face with a marker. The robots prepare to attack Gu, but Mei Xiaohua appears and destroys the reflector. Then, the robots switch targets and kill Belle, and Gu gets the last part of the key. After collecting all the keys, Gu and Mei Xiaohua go to the palace of Lord Beauty. At the entrance, Xiaohua tells who Lord Beauty used to be. Until 3 years ago, everyone lived normally. She proposed the abolition of the division of society according to beauty. The ministers opposed it, and the Lord disappeared. After she returned, she executed all the ministers and left only 4 knights alive. All the previously disabled robots were restored to functioning, but no one knows why. The two venture into the palace and see the robots that Lord Beauty made. They reach the last entrance that Xiaohua cannot pass because it is protected by a barrier that only those with 5-star beauty can pass through. Gu enters and finally meets Lord Beauty, who doesn't understand why Gu wants everyone to be equal. Gu is about to enter the room behind the Lord's throne, but the Lord, whose hologram is actually the room, uses the first barrier to destroy all the ugly people and thus create a new world. People with beauty below 1 star are killed, but this is only the first stage of the new filter. Lord Beauty addresses the residents and informs them that there will be 3 waves in total, and only the most beautiful will survive. Meanwhile, Gu tries to find her sister, who is locked in some safe. She manages to get through, but a surprise awaits her in that room. It turns out that Gu's sister, Xiao Hu, assumed the identity of Lord Beauty 3 years ago. She's the one who has been ruling the country for the past 3 years, and the one who plans to destroy all the ugly people. Gu tries to find out why she did it, but Xiao Hu kicks her out. There, Gu meets the scientist who turned her into a woman, and the scientist gives her a sample of noble blood and tells her that she must go to the room under the throne. Out of all the people that the scientist had turned into beautiful, Gu is the only one who wants to change the world. That's what Gu does. His sister waits for the end, remembering how she met Lord Beauty. While freeing the turtle, Xiao Hu had a few words with Lord Beauty. Unsure of what to do and scared, Xiao Hu begs her not to punish her for coming near the palace. However, Lord Beauty turns out to be a good person who wants to help the little girl. Xiao Hu tells her that she is locked in the house because of her looks, to which the Lord replies that looks don't matter and that there are many beautiful people who are bad, but also many ugly people who are good. This upsets Zhao Hu, and she starts yelling at the Lord, who will never understand what it's like to be ugly. The Lord then invites her to her palace, where she shows her the inventions she made as a child, as well as the aesthetic seismography that her family has kept for years. With this, it is decided what will be worshipped in the world. The grandmother of Lord Beauty's grandmother decided that it should be Beauty. However, Lord Beauty is not sure if this is right and doesn't know what to do with the aesthetic seismography. Then, Zhao Hu takes one of the Lord's inventions to turn her into an old man, who is actually the scientist who turned Zhao Gu into a beauty. Zhao Hu takes another invention and assumes the appearance of a princess. However, that invention will stop working in 3 years, and her secret will be revealed. But she decides to live a good life for 3 years, after which she will kill everyone along with herself. She activates the robots that attack the scientist, but he runs away. Thanks to the machine, Gu learns the truth about her sister and Lord Beauty. While she's still there, the princess appears and tells her that the only way to stop her sister is to change the aesthetic seismography settings so that the filter kills someone else. Not wanting to be the same as the system she hates, Gu decides to destroy aesthetic seismography, but it comes at a price. She manages to destroy the machine with the help of the robot, but it costs her life. Because of her sacrifice, the world has changed. It's been a year since the incident, and Beauty is no longer worshipped, and everyone can live in peace. The princess regained her appearance and returned to the palace, where she is assisted by the new ministers and Mei Zhaohua. Because of the incident that happened, the authorities are still looking for the person who took the princess's place, which is why Zhao Hu is in hiding. Everything turned back to normal, and people resumed their daily lives.